Hey, so welcome everyone to the first vlog of From Fiction to Real, where I cover book adaptations and kind of tear those movies apart. Today I am joined by the awesome Kimberly, who's going to be discussing the Divergent movie with me today.
Hi everyone.
So I guess we'll kind of start out with maybe your overall thoughts about the film. Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I it's very hard for me because I try to look at the movie as a whole, like a movie, just a movie like a standalone, as if I hadn't read the book, and it was almost impossible for me to do that because I kept looking at it and I was like, this is wrong. This is so wrong. Um, if I try if I try to separate it, I thought the movie was okay. Um, but seeing as how, and I just read the book, like I just finished like what 3 weeks ago, so it was kind of fresh in my mind. So looking at it from that aspect, I just it was not good. I am big on character development. There was very little character development in this. I mean, I hated Peter in the book, and in this movie, he was just kind of annoying. I don't feel like you develop that hate for him because I feel like they toned down the movie to make it for teenagers or something. I don't know. Like I just and Molly, there was no Drew. Um, Molly, you hated in the book too, and I bet most of the people out there don't even know who Molly is. That didn't read the book, that just saw the movie. So that's my biggest gripe with it. Um, is character development, and and I understand that it's like, okay, you got a 2.5 hour movie. I mean, you can only do so much, but
Yeah, I kind of went into it the same way, like looking at it as a standalone movie and not trying to immediately compare it to the book. As a standalone movie, as far as like entertainment value, I could see why people would enjoy it. As for someone who's read the book, I think I'm one of the few people who was incredibly disappointed with it. Then again, I also read it twice right before I watched it. I saw it the night I read it the night before I drove up to Phoenix to see it, and then I read it while I was waiting in line that day up in Tempe to see the movie. So I read it twice. So I guess I was a little overcritical with the movie and the book. But a big thing for me too was character development. That's my biggest concern with the way that lacks so much in this movie. I worry about how they're going to do certain things in Insurgent and Allegiant as films because they failed so poorly with character development in this first one.
yeah, and I haven't read that one. I don't know how you read a book in a day. I'm such a slow reader, but like that's amazing to me. But I have not read the other books. I started Insurgent, so I am like maybe 40 pages in, not really far, and look who pops up like right in the beginning, Edward, which he wasn't even in the movie. So, um, I'm just, yeah, I can see that. I can see being worried about that. Um, I didn't like how they did Al. Al is not how I imagined him when I was reading. Like he's supposed to be some big lumberjack, brawly guy, and that guy was what, 170? I don't.
Yeah, a big thing with Elle, is how he likes Triss so much, and that really plays into why his betrayal of her later in the book is so hard on her, because he was a friend, he liked her as more than a friend. I wish they would have played that up more because it doesn't really explain why she'd be so upset that he kind of turned to the dark side when he teamed up with the other guys to like try to abduct her.
Yeah, and then you don't understand why he did what he did. Like you don't understand why he threw himself over the pit because it'd be like, what? Like I don't know, like, and why he was so upset that she couldn't forgive him because they didn't develop him at all. So you're just like, whatever. And I don't know. It's just
It,
gosh, I hate that.
it felt like at that point they should have just cut that character out altogether if they weren't going to build that character so that people understood. Like if you didn't read the book, I'm pretty sure most people are going to be confused about why he was so upset with everything because they didn't explain anything.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's amazing to me what they decided to leave in and cut out. I mean, if you're gonna, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't like the way they did his character at all. And then when you've got Trish and four, and you know, I mean, to me, there's so much development like on their like personalities, especially when he went to talk to her in the pit. Like they left out so much. Like you could actually see, or like when you were reading it, you could tell that he's like fighting. There's two sides of him fighting. The side of him that's like I'm a teacher and a soldier, and I need to maintain like a certain appearance, and then the part of him that likes her, and you just didn't. I didn't feel that in the movie at all. Like I don't know. I didn't feel it at
I
all.
definitely think they toned down kind of that romance factor between Four and Triss, and I know I've talked to quite a few people who feel that it was better that way, that they didn't really think it was appropriate for a movie that was directed to, teenage kids, which honestly, I really don't think it's that bad compared to some of the stuff they could be watching. But I don't feel that chemistry between them, or that intense romance they like feel in the book. So pretty much during the movie, I was kind of sitting there like, why are you even like kissing right now? I don't understand this.
Yeah, and that's why when I said I feel like they dumbed it down and toned it down so for children, but like even in the book, really, I mean, there was nothing. I don't think there was anything objectionable in it, but you just understood her struggle more with she came from Abic Nation and she's not used to being touched, or she's very like I don't know, kind of innocent. So you didn't. I know they tried. I know they tried to do it with her facial expressions and stuff, but it's like you can only do so much with facial expressions, and I don't know. I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on that, and it's kind of troublesome to me because I don't have any attachment to the characters in this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. There's actually one big change that was made that actually has kind of blown up as far as people talking about it and being upset about it. So we get into Triss's fear landscape, and one of her fears is intimacy. The intimacy with Four. They actually changed that in the movie to her fear of being forced by Four, not so much just the intimacy. So that's like
Yeah.
a big change I hated, was that they took something that was supposed to be so innocent just from her, growing up where she didn't have intimacy, she wasn't used to it, to making it something much more than it actually was.
Well, they couldn't because they did not establish that throughout the movie like they did in the book. So they got to it and they're like, "Oh, so we're gonna have to change this because we cut out all this other stuff." And see, that's when the movie just start. I mean, I probably wouldn't. I went to go see it because I wanted to see what they did. But looking back, if I knew what it was gonna be, I'd probably wait until it came out on DVD or something. And I don't know. It makes me worried for the next movie because I know that they got the okay for the next movie, didn't they? I believe
Yeah,
they
they
did.
I believe the Friday or Saturday of opening weekend, Lionsgate gave the green light to go ahead and start production on Insurgent. A big thing that I'm concerned about for the next film. So you had the relationship between Will and Christina that they had in the book that they never touched at all in the film.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
we don't really get the best idea about why Triss struggles so much with killing him in the movie. Because
Hmm.
she's so overcome with emotion about it, but she knows she has to do it. But everybody's kind of left like, I mean, you didn't really have a strong connection to him. Why don't you just like kill him? It's not that big of a deal. Um, which, when you read the second book, you'll see that actually is going to come back into play in the second book, which is why I'm so worried about that breakdown in particular. I swear,
Well,
I'm not trying to give you spoilers of the second book. I swear.
no, I mean it's okay. They, I mean, yeah, that's something that they're gonna have to address, or they're going to have to do flashbacks, or I don't know. I don't. I feel like I know their job is to write a screenplay for one movie and get that to the point where they can do others. But I feel like when you take on a series, of books that you want to make into a movie that you need to look at it from the whole picture and you need to be like, what are the things that we need in this film for the foundation for the other films? And sometimes that's not done very well, and you can totally tell. Aragon comes to mind. Oh God. But and sometimes it is done very well, like in Harry Potter. So I feel like it's just something really important that needs to be looked at when you're making a book into a film, especially one that has multiple books. So, and I don't feel like they did that at all. It's a shame.
Um, no, I definitely agree with that. I'm actually a little worried that Lionsgate thought it wasn't going to do very well. So they're kind of like, let's do an okay script. We'll do a mediocre job with the film because chances are we won't get that green light to make the second one. It makes me wonder how much they're kicking themselves right now, thinking, okay, we have to make a second movie, but now we have to make so many additional changes for the second book to kind of cover our butts from what we messed up in the first one. Um, looking at opening weekend numbers for this movie, everybody was expecting it to like blow Hunger Games out of the water, and I was just kind of like, no, definitely not. I think they came out with 57 million for the opening weekend, where Hunger Games I think had like 156 million for that first weekend. Um, I think a big issue is fans were so caught up in the hype of the movie that I think some of them didn't realize how awful the movie actually was because they're still just so excited about it that I'm expecting those numbers to kind of start dwindling over time, which doesn't really leave a lot of promise for the next movie as far as box office numbers are concerned.
Yeah, I think you're gonna find a lot of people who went to see it, who read the books, who went to see it just because, oh wow, they're turning into a movie, let's see what happens, and then we're disappointed that might not be going to the second one. So yeah, unless they address them, it'll be interesting to see what comes out toward. I don't know how long it's gonna take to make this movie, but it'll be interesting to see what comes out prior to the movie release, like if there's articles about stuff that they addressed and whatnot, to kind of try to get those people back into the movie theater. And I'm sure they got a lot of criticism, and I'm sure they heard a lot of criticism. So it'll be interesting to see what they do to address that prior to the movie coming out, to let people know that, hey, we hear you. We're gonna try to do better or what. Or maybe they might not care. Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see that. I mean, with the Hunger Games, they changed some things, but for the most part, it was I don't know, it was enjoyable. See, I saw the first Hunger Games, and I would go back and go back and see the other ones. I know I'm going to go back and see the other ones, so I actually liked it, but this one is just. I tell you what I liked. I liked the world that they built. Like I like seeing where Nation lived because it kind of was like how I had it in my head. Erudite too.
Mm.
Um, Dauntless was a little different. What did you think about the Dauntless compound? I'm just out of curiosity. Was that what you imagined?
It's definitely not. I guess for me, I imagined something a little darker. Um, it just I don't know. I don't feel like they captured the essence of Dauntless very well. Um, Even with just generally how the other Dauntless like members acted, just I didn't get that like brave, fearless kind of feeling from where they were.
Yeah, it was very light. I mean, I felt like I don't know when I imagined it, I felt like there's more blackness and I don't know, fire to light things, and it just seemed really bright to me. It seemed like a play, like it seemed like it was made out of like clay, and it didn't look real to me. It didn't look like a real pit. It looked like they were building something, like they were
Yeah.
scaffolding, and I was kind of disappointed in that. Mm. Erudite, I
And
liked.
as far as what I actually liked, it's really hard to pick things out I enjoyed from this movie. Um, so a big thing for me going into it when casting first came out when they announced that Theo James was going to be 4, I was actually one of the first people who came out that I know of that was like, I'm really concerned about how this role is going to turn out. I don't think he's good for it. I don't think he can successfully pull off that character. Um, After seeing it, he has to have by far the best acting out of that entire film. I thought he really brought 4 to life. He did such an amazing job with that character that I'm kind of like, I don't know why in the first place I thought he wouldn't do a good job with it. Um, but really, I think he had the best character in that film.
Yeah, he played a soldier and stiff and kind of brooding very, very well. He did. It's exactly what I thought when I was reading of Thor's character, but it's the whole. I didn't get the chemistry between them two, but I think that's more to the writers than the actors because I thought he did a really, really good job um with acting. He's kind of just like always on. Do you know what I mean? He's just
Yeah.
like, and so I really do think he did a good job. And so, did you not like Shailene Woodley in this character? Okay. I don't think she was that. I don't think she was bad because to me, she played. I don't know how old she is in real life, but I felt like she was a. There are things in the book that I'm like, oh my god, this little 16-year-old kid, I just want to smack around. And to me, it felt like she played a 16-year-old kid to me. Like I feel like she did that. I feel like she did what she was given. I, Again, I don't know.
I I guess it really depends because when I went into it, when they announced casting for her, I hate her acting in everything she's ever done. I think it's just awful. I've yet to find a role she's done that I'm like, okay, I can handle this. Um, a big thing for me was her long stint on, Secret Life, where the acting in that show was just horrible, absolutely horrific. But I gave her a chance. She was in The Descendants with George Clooney. I gave a chance on that one, and I was just like, I can't. So when it came to this movie, I was like, I'm gonna go in with an open mind. Um, I felt like her character was dead. Like I felt like she lacked so much emotion in scenes that were supposed to be like emotionally charged. I think there was one scene where I was actually like kind of impressed by her acting, and it was when her mom died and she's like hysterically crying. And I was just like, that was the one scene where I actually felt that character was real and not just dead walking around.
Yeah, you know what? But see, how much of that is the writing and because she was given so much more in the book, right? You saw a lot, you read a lot of her kind of like crying at night and kind of coming to terms with the differences between the fractions that she was born into and the one that she chose and trying to find her way and her balance, and they took a lot of those scenes away. I mean, she got destroyed by Peter, and it was kind of, like I said, it was dumbed down, I think, because, I don't know, violence, kids, whatever. She was supposed to have all this anger, and she fights Molly and completely obliterates Molly. That did not happen.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like they took so many things away from that character that she wasn't really given a fair shot. And she kind of just did what she was given, and that's why I don't really blame her for anything. I blame the writers.
I'm not necessarily going to disagree with that. I do think some of it is the writers, but at the same time, some of it's got to come from the actor. Like, I do honestly believe the lack of chemistry between her and Four is primarily on her end. Because I'm like, I can feel his end. Like, I can feel that romance on his end. But again, her, like, a lot of time during those scenes, I was just, like, dead. Like, lack of emotion. I think she tried. I just don't know if she necessarily got a good grasp of the character she was supposed to portray. Even, during a lot of scenes where she's supposed to, like when she's in her fear landscape, she's supposed to be, frightened, yet she's, like, fighting these fears. I don't get that. I feel like she was more just trying to push through each scene and get it over with than actually giving everything to that scene.
Well, see, and that I look at that and I'm like, well, they jacked up the fear landscape. I mean, the first a couple times she went in there, she's supposed to like wake up screaming like she did not figure it out like she did. They went from the crows, and then she went into that water puddle or whatever, and I'm like, what is this? She's supposed to be getting pecked to like wake up
Yeah.
screaming and stuff, and they took that away, and so I'm like. That's why I don't, and I don't know because I've never seen her in anything else, so I don't really know what her capabilities are. I know she's coming out with some movie where she's with Caleb, the guy that plays her brother, but which is kind of like, ugh, But I don't know if I don't know how she is as an actress. I don't know how old. Do you know how old she is?
Gosh, I want to say she's got to be like 20, 19, 20.
Okay, so she is fairly she is fairly young because if she's 19 or 20 now, she probably filmed this when she was like what 18. That makes sense.
Let me look that up really fast. As much
Okay.
as I hate Googling her name because I just don't
You
like her that
what,
much.
you know what? She's your favorite actress in the whole wide world. You're
Oh
a big
no.
fan.
Oh
You
no.
you run the fan page on Facebook. Don't lie. Um,
I do. Oh, secret's out. Um, so she was born in 91. So
carry the one. No, just
I don't know what is math.
she's a lot
So
old. Well, okay, she's like 23, right? No.
like 22, 23. So maybe I just feel like she's just so emotionally immature that she's just doesn't seem that much older to me. I, um,
Yeah, she
I
plays like I would think she was younger than that,
yeah.
but I don't know. I'm sorry you didn't like because she's such a big like she's the main character. So if you don't like the main character, it was all downhill from you as soon as you went in that movie.
I mean, like I said, I went in with an open mind. I was just incredibly disappointed. Like I feel like she could have done so much better with that character. So I'm kind of like I don't know if I could stand watching her for like 2.5 hour movies to like finish it up with Insurgent and Allegiant when those come out. I don't know if I can force myself to do that.
Yeah, it'll be like I said. I hope they address some of these concerns before the movie and say, "Hey, we're going to address some of these concerns so they can get some of these people that were severely disappointed back." Because I think they've lost some people. I'm going to be honest because the movie was not good. If you read the book and you look at it, to me it was not a good movie. I feel like Kate Winslet is a good actress. Again, she did what she was given, and I actually don't. I feel like they kind of wrote Janine. It's Janine, right? Yeah, they kind of wrote her part pretty much like it was from the book. Now they took stuff out and whatnot, but you get the same type of feeling um, of what kind of person that she is. I wish they would have done more with Ashley Judd because I like how she figured out how her mom was, dauntless. Ooh, spoilers, guys. I like how she figured that out in the book more so than the movie because it was just like they just threw in a scene that just did not exist in the book.
Yeah,
And
I still don't understand why they made that change when it's like if you're going I mean it made more sense to do it during visiting day than to just have her mom like randomly pop up in the warehouse. When I was like, I mean, again, it's one of those things if you're not going to do it right, like why even bother to do it at this point? Like you're just making this worse.
yeah, I don't know why it didn't add any value to the movie, so I don't understand why it was added either. Well, no, it added value because she figured it out, but it was like that's something that they could have done, you know, when she was there for visiting day. So it was just kind of like, bleh.
Yeah.
But
A a big thing. So I saw it early, and walking out of the theater, I don't know how many people I overheard say this, but I almost had a meltdown in this movie theater because so many people walked out and said, "This is like the best book to film adaptation ever. It stayed 100% true to the book. And I was just like, have you even read the book? I'm like, I'm walking with my friend, and she's like, I could tell that you're really, really mad right now, because I guess I just had a really mean look on my face. But I was like, I think a big portion of people who went in didn't even read the book. Because
Yeah,
I don't know how you could say that's 100% accurate to anything.
I probably would have turned around and started a conversation. I'd have been like, "Oh, really? Okay, so tell me about Wally. Tell me about Drew. Tell me about Edward. Tell me about, I mean, I would just started naming all these things, and that's. There were some people in the theater that I saw it with that started clapping, and I ran out. I was like, no. So it's just, and everybody has a difference of opinion, but I don't see how if you read the book, and maybe they read the book like years ago. But if you read the book, I don't see how you could think this was a good adaptation because there was just way too much that was left out. They didn't even grab all the main parts. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm really big on character development, and it was an epic fail on character development part. And I don't feel like I'm overly critical because I understand that you have a small amount of time to tell a story. And I understand the longer that you have people on screen, the more that you have to pay them. So I understand that character development cannot be done for every single character that's in the book. But when you start like leaving out characters that are responsible for developing your main character, then I think it becomes an issue. And like with Christine, they were pretty much best friends. There's some kind of weird stuff between them, but there's pretty much best friends in the book, and I didn't even get that. I mean, yeah, whatever. They sit at the same lunch table.
um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they did so poorly with character development. And a big thing for me, so Veronica Roth stated she loved the movie. She absolutely loved it. And I was like, how can you love a movie that absolutely just butchered your characters and all that hard work you put into them? I'm like, I don't understand how she was so in love with the movie.
Well, I blame her. They waved a bag of money in her face when she took it. And she just went yoink and took it. And I wish more authors would be involved. Like J.K. Rowling was on set, like she was involved, and I feel like, yeah, I don't know if I was an author and I wrote a book and like a series and they wanted to turn it into a movie, I'd be like, yeah, but here's my. I will sell it to you, but these are my stipulations. I need to be there because I've worked so hard for so long to develop these characters in this series that I am not going to let you butcher it. I feel like if authors did that more, then we wouldn't have these debacles, because it was a debacle to me.
Yeah, okay, what I'm about to say is probably going to offend every fan of the Divergent series, but I'm going to say it because it's truly what I think. I think when Veronica Roth came out and said she loved the movie, I think she simply said it so people would go see it. Because honestly, if the author of the book tells you the movie's bad, you're not going to want to go see it if the person who wrote it actually just hates it. So I think in the end it came down to a money factor for her. That, she's making all this money off of it. Last thing she wants to do is, say it's not a good movie and then lose out on the money she would have made from ticket sales and stuff like that.
You could be right. That's not offensive. That's just an opinion, and it probably weighs some truth to it. She probably also signed a contract, so she can't go out there bad mouthing it. I mean, there's some authors that do that. I think with the guy who wrote I forget the name of the movie. There was somebody, World War Z. He said they basically just took the name. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, there's some authors that do that, and maybe she's just like, yay, I want other movies to be made because we don't know how much she gets paid. She gets paid a certain amount for the first movie. She probably gets an increase if they make it into two or three. So
Mhm.
I don't blame her for, but no, I do. Well, for
It's
protecting her money, but if I just wish
at the
she was
same time,
more
it's like
involved.
it's an integrity thing that she works so much and so hard on this book to have it just ripped to shreds and poorly represented on screen. Like I don't know if you're proud of the work you did. I don't know how you could just be like it's money. I'm not going to even worry about the fact that this was just horrible in so many ways.
Aragon. I'm
I
done.
haven't actually read the book or seen the movie for that.
Oh, well,
So
don't, you look, if you ever read the book, just don't. Do yourself a favor, because if you sit down and see that movie, you will be angry for days.
well,
So,
see, now I might have to do that and have you back for another vlog so you could just rip that to shreds because I
uh,
feel like you would thoroughly enjoy that.
anger. So angry. But I don't want you to feel that kind of anger, so do not watch that movie if you read the
But
book.
I actually have felt that kind of anger. For the next movie I'm actually doing this vlog on, I am just
Oh, really? Now I want to know what it is.
I'm so my next vlog for everyone who's watching, is gonna be on Vampire Academy, which I love the series. And I want to burn the movie alive. I just want it to die, and I want to pretend it never happened.
Yeah,
That's how awful that movie was. Just
it, it looked bad.
like I thought Mortal Instruments was bad.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
this was even worse. Like this was way worse. And just don't even get me started on that.
You
You'll
should
have
do one on Mortal Instruments.
oh, that'll be all my vlogs, guys, are gonna just be my angry ranting about what I'm upset about. That's just there's never gonna be a good one.
We're gonna eventually find something that was done right.
I you know
But
I have hope for Mockingjay coming out later this year. I've hope that one's going to make me happy.
yeah, that's true. I'm sure they'll do a really good job. The fact that they're dividing it into two movies means that they're going to try to get in as much content as possible. So I figure it's probably kind of like the last Harry Potter movie, where they literally put in as much of that book as possible because they had two movies to do with it. So I feel like Mockingjay is going to be really good. Um, yeah, I feel like it's going to be really good. So I don't. As for this movie, well, they can redeem themselves. Let's not give up on them yet.
You know, let's just jump straight to the end of the movie before we wrap this up. Let's just jump straight to the end of the movie and talk about the change in the ending from the book into the movie. So if you remember correctly, in the actual book, Four is the one who's running the simulation. When Triss finds him, he's under that serum. He doesn't know what he's doing. Um, he's the one who actually ends up shutting it down in the book. In the movie, Triss ends up throwing that knife at Janine when she's like trying to force the program to finish faster and forces her to shut it down. Whereas this whole time, Four has had nothing to do with this. I was actually disappointed in that change. I was like, I feel like again it was a situation where they downplayed Four's abilities, and I feel like they gave just a little bit too much to Janine for this movie. Like she's not. I don't feel like she's as strong a presence in the book for this first one as she is in the next book. So seeing them give her so much and take away from Four, I was a little disappointed in that.
Yeah, that whole last scene was just ridiculous, and she wasn't even there. But it's Kate Winslet. You have to pay her a certain amount of money. You want to get your screen time. I understand that, but she wasn't even there, and I literally thought that they were about to kill her in the movie, and I was like, if this happens, I'm just gonna walk out right now. And I don't even did you even see a hard drive or anything? Like I didn't. Yeah, see.
No, it was just those touch screen computers, like those monitors that they had set up, and just like I don't know. I didn't like how they made that happen. I was like, this is not the true ending for the book.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, and I don't even just I don't.
Well, it makes you wonder, with how things happen with Janine during this scene, how are they going to get that into play for the next movie? When, obviously in the book they didn't have this happen, so they're going to have to make even more changes for the second movie to accommodate the ending they gave this first one.
Yeah, I don't. I have to look. I've got to give them the benefit of the doubt that they thought this through. Otherwise, it's just going to be awful. So I hope they have a plan. I really do because it's just I don't know. There are so many things missing, and like I said, it's Kate Winslet. They had to have her on screen more. I mean, because she did not have. If you're gonna cast a big name like Kate Winslet for a movie, but only put her on screen like 5 minutes, it's like, especially with her price tag. So I understand why they did it, but I mean, I I don't know. They could have done better. They could have done better.
Yeah, I'd say if I was going to rate this movie overall, um, I'm just sheer disappointment. Let's go with like a 5-star rating system. Yeah, I'm barely even gonna give this one a 2. And the reason it's not even like the reason it jumped up to a 2, maybe I'd give it like a 2.5, maybe a 3. That would only be because I absolutely love Theo James. I just like my favorite part of the whole movie, and not just because he's some like hunky dude on screen.
That's exactly why.
It's just because his character is still the only one I feel they did the best job with in that entire movie.
I think he did a good job, and he's really nice to look at. I think, see, I don't know if I could even. I think I could go around 2.5 because I feel like people were underutilized. I think Zoe Kravitz is a better actress than they gave her time. I know Miles Teller is, um, and they just weren't giving anything to work with. Ashley Judd was Ashley Judd. I think she did a good job, but I just think writing in general was just off. I didn't like what they did with Dauntless. Like I said, I really like what they did with Erudite. I don't like that confrontation between her and her brother. Because the whole CERM thing was just right out of the like. They just removed that part, and I when when they did that, it's like it doesn't make sense that I guess it does. They kind of explained it. Caleb left because he found out what they were doing, but I mean, I don't know. It was a big part of the plot, and they just removed it. And I'm like, this movie, I'm over. I'm
Alright,
over this movie. So,
pause for 1 second. I'm actually about to die in this end, so I should probably plug my laptop in really fast. Just give me a moment. Stare at the blank wall.
or stare at the blank wall. Um, yeah, no, I don't. But I did like what they did with the erudite in the scene, and it's kind of like what I imagined it. The libraries and the science equipment and stuff like that. So where they lived, I really, really liked, enjoyed seeing. And Nation was so plain, like that view that they did when they panned in and you saw the different houses, but you saw them from above. And they were really plain inside, and the clothing that they wore. It really, really pulled out what Nation kind of represents. So I don't know. I really liked how they did that. You didn't really see Amity, but I guess you will in the next movie. So I'll be interested to see that. You just saw like glimpses of them, and they're exactly what I thought they would be, like hippies. Um, so I don't know. I did like that. I think they did a good job of showing the fractions. You didn't really see anything of Candor though. So, but that's the only part I liked about this movie, other than Theo James. Yes, Theo James did a really good job. Um, he did. He did. He plays brooding and serious really, really well. And I heard him in an interview recently, and I didn't realize he had such an accent, and I was just like, ooh. So yeah, he did a good job. But 2.5.
Yeah. Oh, disappointment. I just disappointment. So much disappointment.
You walk out of there
Um,
tasting disappointment in your mouth, just like that.
it's so horrible because the whole day that I saw it was just an awesome day. Since I did that red carpet premiere they did up in Phoenix, so I had that whole day of hanging out. Got to see Miles and Jai while they were there. So you're so pumped up from everything that's going on, and then you actually see the movie you're there to see, and it's just such a letdown that I was just like, I called out of work. I drove like 2 hours out of my way. I I felt like it was just a wasted opportunity. Um, but yeah,
That's rough. That's rough because you already had it built up in your mind. Um,
yeah, I dragged my friend out there with me. So I made her drive the 2 hours to get there, and we were both disappointed coming out of that movie. So it was just kind of like, I mean, I'm glad I saw it early and I didn't have to pay for it, but at the same time, just
yeah.
disappointment. Just the one word I would use to describe this movie: disappointment.
Well, there you have it. I think that sums it up there. You know. Ugh. Well, I don't know. We'll see what they do with the second one, right?
Yeah, we have a little less than a year now until the next one's supposed to be released. I want to say like the release date they have it like March 25th or something like that of next year. So we don't have too long to wait for that next one. Even though I know a year sounds like a long time, but trying to be I'm trying to not care about how long a year is right now. In between we have a lot of great things to look forward to. The first part of Mockingjay, um, the final Hobbit movie, which will be out in December, which I'm really excited about. Um, I don't know if there's any other adaptations that you know of that are coming out this year that you are looking forward to.
Well, I bought Maze Runner. I haven't read it yet, but I like Dylan O'Brien, so I know that's coming out. But like I said, I haven't
He's
read
on
it yet.
Teen Wolf, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I've never watched that show.
It's a good show. You should watch that show. You'd
I,
like it, I
I'm
think.
I'm terrified to get invested in another show because this year alone, three of my favorite shows have officially like announced that they're going off the air or have already ended.
It's been rough. It's been a rough year for TV. I'll give you that. It has. I mean, characters have been taken away this last 2 weeks from a lot of shows, and yeah, shows are being canceled, so it has been rough. I can understand that. Um, but yeah, I think it's a decent show. I really like it. I don't know what else is coming out that's from a book. It's so funny because I think a lot of movies are kind of based on things that are written, so it's just kind of I don't know. The problem is like with like movies like this, like I don't like reading books before I go see movies because I feel like it will never live up to it, like ever. Um, I didn't read the first Harry Potter book. I went to see the movie, and then I was like, I saw the movie. I don't need to read the first book, and I started with the second book, and I think that's why I like the first two movies so much more than the rest. Because I feel like it'll never live up to it.
Mhm.
And but I was pleasantly surprised with Hunger Games, so I think Mockingjay is going to be a very good movie, part one and part two.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you know, it's kind of my job to read the book and then go see the movie.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this vlog right now.
right.
But you know, most of the time, I'm not too disappointed. But sometimes I'm just, oh, like this movie and Vampire Academy, just absolutely furious. Just, I want to write angry letters to the writers and the director and the author for this stuff and just be like, why?
How many how many um how many books is Vampire Academies?
um, let's see. I want to say like six or no, six. Yes,
That's a
six.
lot. That's a lot.
I'm like almost finished with the last book. Um,
Wow.
but at this point, I don't want them to make any more movies. I just,
When you're
oh,
done reading everything that you need to read, I want you to go read the Inheritance series with the Aragon, Eldest, Brissinger, and Inheritance. And because I want to know what you think. Just read Aragon. I want to know what you think.
Oh,
It
of
was
just the
really
book
interesting.
or the book in the movie?
No, I want the book and the movie. I would like to know
Okay.
your opinion. Um,
Yeah, I'll have to pick that up and maybe make that one of my soon to be vlogs. I'll have you on and we could just talk about how awful it is. Um,
you might
you know,
shock me and say, "Dude, the movie was awesome." I doubt it. I sincerely doubt it.
well,
But
I've been known to surprise people. Apparently, they have The Fault in Our Stars coming out, written by John Green. It's going to be a movie.
oh,
I have you read the book?
no.
So everybody's like, this is such an emotional book. It's so amazing. I've read it twice now, and it is just the most god awful writing I have ever read. And I have
Oh,
read some pretty awful things. And I'm just like, I don't get the emotional value from this. I'm like, I get it's a story about like, dying teenagers, whatever, like that's sad and all, but I don't get that emotion. I think it's a horrible story. Like I feel like I need to go see the movie just to do a vlog on this, but at the same time I don't want to pay to see a movie for a book that is just absolute garbage. Which again I'd probably get flamed by fans of the book for saying it was garbage, but it was garbage.
see, now I'm not gonna read it. I was about to write the name down, and then you just said all
I
that, and
mean,
I'm like,
I
nope.
would say give it a shot. I mean, it might be something that, works for you, but for me, like, again, I tried it twice. I was like, I read it the first time and I was like, this is garbage. And then, the movie, they announced the movie was coming out and everybody was like, oh, give it another shot. You'll probably like it this time around. No, garbage. It would put me to sleep. I would fall asleep reading that because it was just so horrible. I would rather sleep than finish reading that book. It's just so bad.
I can't. I'm a slow reader. Like, guys, I was like stressing myself out to finish reading this book before the movie came out so I could do this vlog because I'm like, oh, I'm such a slow reader. So, and then I did the same thing with Mortal Instruments and the same thing with the Hunger Games. And so I just, I can't. I'm Insurgent now. I gotta finish that book, and I want to read Maze Runner, um, which might take me like forever. So. But yeah, I kind of want to know. And like Eleanor said, you're gonna be so mad once you read the third book. And I'm like, see, I gotta get to that. I gotta get to that. I'm just
I
starting
know.
Insurgent.
You won't be mad because it's an awful book. I think it's nicely written. You're just what happens is going to probably make you mad. Just without
Oh,
giving any spoilers.
when you say awful book, you don't mean the writing. You just mean what's happening.
Um, in this situation, yeah, that's what makes the final book so awful. It's just what happens.
Okay.
It was nicely written. She did a good job tying up all, her loose ends. But in the situation of, like The Fault in Our Stars, just awful garbage book. I don't even know how that sold so many copies. Just no. I can't. Um, also next year we have The Giver coming out, which, I mean, most people probably read this book back when they were like middle school, high school. Um, so I'm probably going to need to reread that. Although I've heard that the movie is absolutely different than the book. Like, completely different. I don't know if you've read that book or not.
If you're talking about it was a book that I could have read in middle school, I sure as heck don't remember it because that was a while ago. There's this little girl behind me waiting to get into this PaleyFest panel who's reading The Book Thief, and
Okay, I was going to say I was a little concerned because I was like, I don't see a little girl behind you right now, and it's
yeah,
freaking
right.
me out a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, she's reading The Book Thief, and I heard that was a good movie, so um, I might take a gander onto that book, but I haven't heard of The Giver. At least I don't remember that I have, so I'll have to go back and see.
It's very similar along the lines of like a dystopian society, which obviously is a big thing right now that they keep, making
Apparently,
movies based off of this. Um, which I think they're starting to do overkill on that. They're probably going to need to start. doing something else before people just lose interest altogether. Um, but as of right now, my next thing is to tackle Vampire Academy and do like a 40-minute spiel about how just much I hated it and how it makes me hate life. Um, so everyone can look for that coming hopefully soon, as I'm a little behind on my current projects. Um, I know you'll be doing a movie review of Captain America next month, right?
Yeah, it's like in a week or whatnot. I'm gonna do a little review, and then we'll probably have a panel discussion. So yeah, if you're interested in that, I will let you know when we're doing it. Uh, but I'm looking forward to Captain America because Chris Evans.
Yeah, let's not talk about how depressed I am that eventually he's not going to be Captain America anymore and he's just going to be gone and I'm just going to be sad. Tears will be shed on that final movie.
Yeah, no, I mean it is what it is. But okay, so so your next vlog is going to be Vampire Academy.
Yes, yes, I am very excited to get into that and go through my 8 million pages of notes and tell you exactly why it's the most horrible movie I've ever seen and why no one should ever waste money on buying it. Um, hopefully with that I'll also kind of jump into, um, why I don't think they should bother to make the sequel, even though fans are really pushing for that right now. Like, there's a petition going around. It has, like, something like 20,000 signatures on it, and I'm just like, just don't, please, stop ruining what once upon a time was one of my favorite book series. So yeah, that'll be up next. A lot of hate in that one, I'm sure.
Oh, I look forward to seeing it.
All right, so you guys, you can catch Kim's movie reviews on the Nerd Element YouTube channel. She does a lot of really great ones. Um, if you also want to share your Twitter info with everyone so they can kind of chat with you there.
Yeah, you guys can find me either at the Nerd Element or at anime23. That's ANIME 23.
Obviously you know where to find me. I'm always here. So I look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Hey guys.